Hello, welcome to Warwickshire. My name is Nathan Millward. I'm just out testing the Anakee Wilds on my GS. Just have a look around. So these are the new Wilds from Michelin. Designed really to take on the TKC 80s by Continental. So much knobblier than the other Anakees. And here we have them fitted to my GS 1200. So just taking in some local lanes just outside Leamington. I mean, it's not the most technical or tight or twisty of terrains, but it's a good place to get a feel for a tyre in the mud and the wet. There's plenty of ruts down here, plenty of places for the front tyre to wash out. I mean, this is kind of my first jaunt on them in these conditions. Getting here on the road, I think what I noticed first and foremost was the extra road noise. There is quite a bit more noise, not rumbling like you get on the 80s, but more of a just a whistling road noise, I suppose, and it's quite audible from 35 onwards. I mean, you do adjust to it, but it is definitely more noticeable. Turning and cornering around town at slow speeds is actually much more agile than the 80s. It don't feel as stubborn to turn as the 80s. On the road at greater speeds, it feels pretty good actually. It rolls into corners quite nicely. It doesn't seem to drop in as much as they do on the 80s. The tread blocks are certainly softer. The rubber is definitely a softer compound than on the 80s. So you do get a bit of movement on the tread, but all in all on the road, apart from the noise, it's quite good. Off-road, I've just been really impressed, by both front and rear. I tend to ride without the traction control or ABS on, and I'm finding that the bike seems to find a lot more traction at the rear with these tyres than with the 80s. It seems to break traction a lot less easy, and it's also very controllable, and it soon regains grip, and that's even kind of trying to provoke it with a heavy right hand. Most notably the front, you've got so much more grip on the front. It doesn't seem to wash out, and I think if you look quite closely you can see that there's the blocks are far more to the edge of the tyre than they are on the 80s. And it definitely seems to make a difference. Just push it into ruts, push it into mud, it seems to keep a line, it keeps a grip. There are a few times when it breaks away, but far later than it would on the 80s. So all in all, very impressive. It does give you a lot more confidence in these conditions than the other tyres I've tried with. And that's with the pressure is actually fully inflated. The tyres are running 2.9 bar at the rear, 2.6 at the front. So that's well into road. Well, it is road pressures. I mean, I don't generally let them down for off-roading just because it's a pain in the bum having to re-inflate them. So I just leave them as they are, and yeah, so far so good. I guess longevity will be the biggest question. You know, how long do they last? TKC 70s on the rear, I've got about 2,500 out of TKC 80 on this bike. Initial reports from South Africa suggested more like 2,000 for the Anakee Wild. Time will tell. It's all down to the right wrist really as to how long they'll last, but certainly the upshot of grip in the wet makes them notable. And I also like, visually I think they also look quite aggressive. So far so good with the Anakee Wilds. If I could get rid of that road noise, I think they'd be almost a perfect tyre for these conditions. Right, over and out. Bye.